November 20th, 1942, the Sahara Desert, North Africa. The endless sea of sand burns under the merciless African sun. The German Afrika Korps, commanded by the legendary Desert Fox, General Erwin Rommel, is master of this brutal domain. Their Panzer III and Panzer IV tanks rule the dunes. They are seasoned veterans, highly disciplined and accustomed to crushing British and American armor with superior tactics and the deadly 88mm anti-tank guns. To the Allied forces, Rommel seems like a ghost, invincible, always one step ahead. And today, a massive column of over 100 German panzers is advancing through the Kasserine Pass, aiming to encircle and annihilate the green, untested American 1st Armored Division. The American boys in their light M3 Stuart tanks know they are outgunned and outmatched. The heat is suffocating, the tension is unbearable, but history is about to be violently rewritten in the sand. May 4th, 2025, present day, Fort Irwin National Training Center, California. The Mojave Desert mirrors the Sahara. A massive live-fire armored exercise is underway. The ground physically shakes, not from the clanking of diesel engines, but from the high-pitched, terrifying scream of aviation turbines. 3 M1A2 SEPV-3 Abrams main battle tanks tear across the desert floor. They are 70-ton Leviathans, the undisputed kings of modern armored warfare. Inside the lead tank, Warhammer Actual, Captain James Carter wipes sweat from his brow. His crew operates in a high-tech cocoon of digital screens, thermal imaging, and classified composite armor consisting of depleted uranium and classified ceramics. Gunner, target building at 2 o'clock. Range, 4,000 meters, Carter orders. Identified. Laser locked, responds staff. Sergeant Hayes looking through his advanced thermal sights, but before Hayes can squeeze the trigger, the air inside the Abrams goes ice cold. The blinding California sun is instantly swallowed by a sickly, pulsating violet light. The desert around them seems to fold inward. The deafening roar of their Honeywell gas turbine engines is drowned out by a sound like a massive sheet of steel being ripped apart. The Abrams tanks don't stop. They are catapulted forward through a rift in space-time itself. When the purple light vanishes, the California Mojave is gone. Captain Carter's tank slams down hard, kicking up a massive plume of yellow dust. The 2 other Abrams skid to a halt beside him. The sudden silence is broken only by the whine of their turbine engines. "Driver, halt! Everyone okay?" Carter yells over the intercom. "We're good, sir, but the screens are going crazy." Hayes replies, his voice tight. "GPS is gone. Blue Force tracker is offline. Satellite comms are completely dead. It's just static." Carter pops his hatch and looks out. It's still a desert, but the topography is completely wrong. There are no training targets, no control towers, just endless untouched dunes. Sergeant Hayes, switch to thermal optics. Sweep a 360. Find out where the hell we are. Hayes grips his control yokes. The turret of the massive Abrams spins with terrifying speed and robotic precision. The high-definition thermal cameras pierce through the heat waves distorting the desert air. "Captain, I have contacts. Massive armored column bearing down on our position from the east. Range 5 miles. Friendly?" Carter asks. "Sir, they are definitely not friendly, and they're not modern." Hayes zooms the optics in. The monochrome screen displays crisp, terrifyingly clear images. "I'm looking at treaded vehicles, boxy turrets, short-barreled guns. Captain, those look exactly like World War II German panzers." Carter drops back into the turret and stares at his commander's display. He sees the unmistakable silhouettes of Nazi armor advancing in perfect formation, kicking up a massive dust cloud. He checks his analog backup compass and chronometer. The electronics didn't glitch, Hayes. We aren't in California. The realization hits Carter like a physical blow. We're in North Africa, and those are Nazis. 3 70-ton machines from the 21st century, facing over 100 veteran panzers of the Afrika Korps in 1942. Let's look at the suicidal technological gap. Rommel's Panzer IV in 1942. 50mm of frontal steel armor, a 75mm gun that requires the tank to stop completely to fire accurately, manual optics, and an effective killing range of perhaps 1 mile if the gunner is incredibly skilled. The M1A2 Abrams of 2025. It doesn't use steel. It uses classified Chobham armor reinforced with depleted uranium, making it virtually indestructible to anything but the most advanced modern anti-tank missiles. Its 120mm smoothbore cannon fires an APF-SDS round, a depleted uranium dart, traveling at over a mile per second. It can shoot with pinpoint accuracy, while moving at 40 miles per hour over rough terrain, and its thermal sights can identify and kill targets from nearly 3 miles away. In 1942, the Abrams is not a tank. It is an alien spaceship. Warhammer platoon. This is actual. Carter's voice is dead calm over the encrypted local net. We have a confirmed hostile Nazi armored column column, advancing on our position. We have no comms with home. We are the only thing standing between them and whatever Allied forces are behind us. He pauses, looking at the thermal signatures of the swastika-painted tanks. Weapons free. Load sabot. Erase them. The loaders in all three Abrams slam the heavy, needle-like uranium rounds into the breeches. The breeches slam shut with a heavy metallic clang. Up. Target locked. Panzer IV, range 4,500 meters, Hayes calls out. At this distance, the German tank commanders cannot even see the low desert tan profiles of the Abrams blending into the dunes. They are happily advancing, oblivious to the fact that they have already been targeted by computers from the future. Fire. The 120mm cannon erupts with a concussive blast that shakes the desert floor. A massive tongue of fire shoots from the barrel. The depleted uranium dart crosses the 3-mile distance in less than 3 seconds. In the German vanguard, my Panzer IV commander is looking through his binoculars. He never hears the shot. He never sees the flash. The kinetic energy penetrator strikes the front plate of the Panzer IV. It doesn't explode. It punches through the 50 millimeters of steel as if it were warm butter. The sheer friction turns the inside of the German tank into a supersonic storm of molten metal and spalling. The ammunition carousel detonates instantly. The Panzer's turret is blown 50 feet into the air on a geyser of blinding fire. 2 seconds later, the Abrams on Carter's left fires. Another Panzer vaporizes. Then the third Abrams fires. A German half-track simply disintegrates into a cloud of twisted metal and red mist. Panic instantly rips through the Afrika Korps. Ambush! Heavy artillery from the west! A German commander screams into his radio. But Rommel's veterans are disciplined. They spot the massive dust clouds kicked up by the muzzle flashes of the Abrams. Panzers forward! Close the distance! Fire at will! Dozens of 75mm shells arc across the desert sky toward the 3 American beasts. The shells slam into the frontal armor of the Abrams tanks. The explosions throw up massive clouds of sand. The German commanders cheer, expecting to see burning wrecks. But as the smoke clears, the 3 M1 Abrams simply drive out of the dust. Clouds, entirely unharmed. The 1940s armor-piercing rounds shattered against the depleted uranium composite armor like glass bottles hitting a brick wall. Not a single scratch on the paint. The psychological shock hits the German tankers harder than the physical impact. They are fighting gods of steel. Driver, advance at 30 miles per hour. Maintain wedge formation, Carter orders. Gunner, fire at will. The Abrams tanks don't stop to shoot. Their advanced 2-axis stabilization systems keep the 120mm cannons perfectly locked on target, while the 70-ton machines bounce and crash over the dunes at highway speeds. It is a mechanical slaughter. Boom. A Panzer III loses its turret. Boom. An anti-tank gun is atomized. Boom. Another Panzer IV explodes in a catastrophic fireball. Every single shot from the Abrams is a guaranteed instantaneous kill. They cannot miss. The ballistic computers calculate wind, temperature, and lead automatically. The German tank crews are dying before they can even reload their guns. The mighty Afrika Korps, the terror of the desert, is being systematically, surgically dismantled by just 3 machines. Desperation sets in. A brave German gunner manages to maneuver his 88mm flak gun, the deadliest weapon in the Nazi arsenal, and fires a direct hit into the side of Reaper II. In 1942, that shot is a death sentence. The shell strikes the Abrams' explosive reactive armor skirt. The block detonates outward, neutralizing the German shell completely. The Abrams crew barely feels a shudder. The Abrams turret smoothly rotates 90 degrees toward the anti-tank gun and erases it with a high-explosive round. In exactly 14 minutes of continuous firing, 47 German tanks and over 30 support vehicles are burning wrecks in the sand. The surviving Nazi commanders, realizing their weapons are entirely useless against these demonic, whining beasts, break formation. The legendary discipline of the Afrika Korps shatters. It becomes a chaotic, terrified retreat. Men abandon their perfectly good tanks and run into the desert on foot, desperate to escape the wrath of the American machines. General Rommel's invincible army has been broken by 3 tanks. The Abrams halt their advance, the barrels of their cannons smoking in the desert air. They have expended half their ammunition. They have no diesel resupply. They are stranded in the past, but they just saved thousands of American and British lives. They just broke the back of the Nazi war machine in Africa, years ahead of schedule. When American reconnaissance troops from the 1st Armored Division finally arrive at the Kasserine Pass hours later, they find a graveyard of burning German armor, and sitting silently among the wreckage, 3 massive futuristic metal fortresses, their crews waiting with American flags patched on their shoulders. History was rewritten that day in the sand. The legend of the 3 desert gods would be classified top secret by the Pentagon for 50 years, but the Nazis who survived the massacre, they knew the truth. They knew they had looked into the eyes of the future, and the future showed them no mercy. Welcome Welcome to the Tactical Time Rift. If you want to see an A-10 Warthog shred a fleet of Japanese battleships, hit that subscribe button and tell us in the comments what machine you would send into the rift next.